Good morning. Welcome to BCB Live. Hope you're doing well today. Drive safe, Dave. What's happening with you? A little bit of road work ahead of you?
I got to be cautious. I got a little bit of road work going on, and today I got a lot happening today. We got a lot going on. I do know that Thanksgiving's right around the corner. Are you ready for Thanksgiving? Have you got everything necessary for Thanksgiving?
No, I'm not quite ready yet for Thanksgiving. All I need is a turkey and a pie, and I think I'm pretty good. I don't need the rest of that stuff.
You got family plans, people coming in. You got stuff because they're said. I was watching the news yesterday. They said something about this is going to be one of the largest 51 million people traveling over the holiday season, and they're talking about some of the. And they're at 60% capacity with the NTSA, and they're talking about traffic jams, packing into the airports. Are we ready for this or whatever?
Inflation in general, I really question is how is it not already here? Are we just we just don't want to say it?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's a bad word. It's the guy. It's the uncle that you keep in the back room that you don't let anybody see. It's
yeah, and when you go to that, you look at the equipment in trucking, and we've spoken about that before. But we did place some trailer orders within the trucking industry. And they are 50% higher than they were pre-COVID.
Wow.
50% higher pre-COVID. We see gasoline prices increase. We've seen truck prices increase. We've seen all of these prices increase, including payroll, especially to the drivers out there across the country. Drive safe, Dave. I don't know how inflation's isn't gonna happen to some degree.
Yeah, and when you get to there, and then when they talk about not only inflation, look, I get inflation, especially in an economic stress time, but runaway inflation is where we don't want to get to, where you can't keep up with both wage and cost of goods, and that's really, I think, the nasty word that everybody's trying to back away from, because then you're wheelbarrowing money in that won't buy any bread. I mean, you're talking.
Yeah. And, and a lot of people put that blame on us, giving out a lot of money. And what do you do, though, right? I mean, during COVID, you had people that had to make a living. Everything shut down, a lot of money given out there. And then it continued to happen. And a lot of people say, well, you got to pay that back as well. How are we going to do that as a country? Pay back all that money we've given out. And now we still have more stuff coming up. We have the infrastructure bill that just got passed, right? All personal cars will have that monitoring system in there to help with the DUIs, help to identify a driver that's drunk, and I guess not let it go, not let it run. But that's part of the technology that's going to come in. They're saying by 2026.
Yeah, and so they say that it'll save thousands of lives, and I think they said almost 1 million people a year get arrested for drunk driving. That's a huge. I didn't even know it was that big. 1 million people.
Well, they say about 10,000 annual alcohol-related deaths a year.
That's crazy.
Occur. But I will say this: also, last month alone, 20,160 fatalities in traffic accidents alone last month in the United States. In which the greatest one, and we've talked about that, speed, alcohol, and lack of seat belts still rank in that top 3 as far as the reasoning for the fatality. And we got some videos here of some tractors from 1956.
You're talking about
some KW, some
We're talking about no power brakes. We're talking about no power steering. We're talking about double twin shifts. We're talking about, wow, you're talking about really truck driving.
Yes, and let's throw some of these. So here we go. We got some, look at that Central there. These are some trucks from 1950s is what this is from.
Look at that cab over. Look at that sleeper on that cab over, up on top.
We can know this, is that Amazon, FedEx, UPS, hey, guess what? They're going to get their freight delivered. There's too many customers in those containers, in those boxes that hey, I don't want 800 phone calls on this one trailer that misses sort.
5,000 phone calls, and guess what? Every one of those packages in there has got it's tracked.
Yep.
So every customer has got on their phone an app that says, why has that been sitting in Abilene for 2 days? I want to know why my hairdryer has been sitting in Abilene for 2 days.
So yes, we do. It's going to be an interesting season, and it's right upon us right now. And and drive safe. And again, we talk. You started the show up asking about Thanksgiving, and ask somebody from one of those places. Ask somebody in a distribution center or at a hub for one of like a FedEx, UPS, any of them. Hey, what are you doing for Thanksgiving?
I already know what they're doing.
They are dreading life. This, from those folks, and again, I worked on that LTL side. There's certain seasons you just hate.
This is it.
This is it. We are up on it. And you know what? For most of those folks, it's like, my God, the season never ended from last year.
Yeah, exactly.
It just never ended.
Yeah.
This is wide open in the left lane, no problems until this flatbed comes over, and got to get out of the cruise, folks. Because now it's a tailgate situation. Going way too fast, zero, you're just too close. You're about 100 feet here, and you're traveling well over 100 feet per second here. So again, you've got no chance of stopping. And we're going to see a video a bit later where, whatever the reason, distraction or whatever, the driver had to make a quick lane change. So make sure you slow your speed down. Once they move over, you're fine here. Just once they move over. Here's another one where, get the big picture. I was talking about it earlier. Kind of hard. It looks really innocent, and then boom, right on an overpass, traffic is stopped. And then you got to make that quick lane change. What if that lane's not open? You've got to play that, right? I see the mirror and stuff, but if you're looking in that mirror this far back, then you should be able to see the traffic you're gaining on it quickly, and you should be on the brake right now, right? Or sooner.
Yeah, this is absolutely terrifying right here. I mean, at the end of the day, if there is somebody in that left lane, we're going to hit them. We're going to force them into that Jersey wall or the bridge, whatever that is, or we're going to rear end somebody.
Yes.
I mean, that's what we see right now. Our only escape was to get into that left lane. That was it, where your escapes, guys, has to be slowing down way earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so ultimately, the idea, the principle here, and the lesson that we learn here is that you have to be able to come to a stop in your lane. You have to control that area in front of your truck at all times. If you control that area in front of your truck, look, I don't mind you moving over, but why aren't you slowing down to a point where it's safe to do so? And also showing everybody behind you. Can you imagine if a truck's right behind you and you dart over right here? What's going to happen to that guy because you didn't slow down? Now he's up in the back of because he doesn't have the fair warning that you have. You've got to make sure that you understand that a defensive posture is control the area in front of the truck, move over slowly if you need to, but you aren't doing anybody behind you any favors by making that quick lane change at that speed.
No, and so Rick says all the time, about, things change in a second. And what scares me about this is, you can't predict where these things are going to happen, right? And so here, this happens in one of the most dangerous areas, right? This driver is either going to be seriously injured or possibly killed, because if they have to go right, look at that. You're rolling it over, right? You're dropping 40, 50 feet. You're going to rear end somebody, or you're going to shove. I mean, there's nothing good that can happen from this. And you don't get to predict when traffic's going to stop. So you have to practice this out there. This just seems like some bad habits that are creeping in out there on the highway, and then you've got a spot where it just can't happen.
Yeah, or it's just as simple as, I'm driving right now, I'm doing everything I can. Oh, somebody texted me. Let me read the text. I look up right now, and I don't see it yet. And I'm like, crap.
Yes.
Distracted. Mm-hmm. It can be as simple as a distraction. You just don't have the luxury out there on the road to have that distraction.
So if we look at this truck right here, and we're driving down the road, and we are following too close behind this truck, what's happening to us when this truck jumps over to the left? Right? What happens?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we're gonna have every kind of excuse, right? But the bottom line is we were tailgating and couldn't get the big picture.
If we're tailgating somebody, and if we're tailgating this vehicle right here and they move over in the last second, we are going to rear end somebody.
Absolutely.
We're going to rear end somebody,
Absolutely.
period.
Absolutely. So you have to control the space in front of you, and that is the lesson not only for this truck, but for anybody behind this vehicle. You have to be able to stop in the lane that you're in and control the area in front of the vehicle.
Yeah, this was a great educational one as well, because all the things you mentioned, there's so many aspects to this, that the what is and what you can learn from it. This next one, again, good good job staying in your lane and just letting the traffic go, right? Not in a hurry, got all kinds of patience, and there's just not really a big chance or risk here for this driver to end anybody's life or their own. They're just letting traffic go away from them. Very hard to rear end somebody if it's moving away from you. This next one, this is the one I was talking about. Watch this truck. You've got a slight incline, and we've seen this highway before, so if it looks familiar, we see a lot of issues on this highway.
Was this 287?
Yep. Coming up into Hugo.
Yeah.
Look at this truck out there in that lane for a long time, and you're cresting a hill. There is zero chance, and right at the top, he gets over. What if somebody comes across the top of that hill? Drive safe, or Sir Rick? I mean, this is just so scary, you know, and we can't get close enough to see what this truck was doing, but it looks like it's passing two vehicles out there in a no passing zone, and then right at the top of a hill.
So herein lies some of the issues that we see here, and we know about it. Of course, he's not doing it correctly, but just imagine if somebody's not doing it correctly, coming the other way, and they're passing. Now you got four. We got four vehicles approaching at high rate of speed. Everybody's trying to pass each other, and there's nowhere to go. You're talking about head-on collisions. You've got to be prepared on what's going on out there. And doing this illegal move on in a no passing zone, highly dangerous. I like the fact that how far back we are from
This driver is, yeah.
all of the, notice we're like whoa, 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 and as we are falling further and further back from this bad scene about to happen.
Great point. And again, we've talked, and we're going to continue to talk about our industry, right? What we got to do to portray us in a better light, and this doesn't help. I mean, there's just no reason to be out there.
I mean, one thing we have to do is we actually have to have action, right? We can't do things like this. That's how you make our industry appear safer, when you don't do unsafe things, when you don't break the law, when you don't cross over this, and everything about this doesn't make any sense. There's no value of life in this decision right here.
No, none.
We don't value our lives, the lives of the oncoming traffic, or the vehicles to our right, and we certainly aren't taking in our industry at all when we're making this move.
Not at all. And again, another one, right? Tailgating, a little slower speed, but again, going to make a bad decision. As you can see, well, it's kind of hard, but there's traffic in the mirror, and then we jump right here. Where are we going to go? We're on an overpass. I mean, there's just nothing good that could happen from there. And there's no reason. Just slow down, pack your patience. Got to slow down and get out of these tailgate situations. You have to leave yourself an out.
We face that scenario every single day.
Yep.
That situation is an occurrence that every driver faces every day of slow traffic in your lane. What do you do to pass? How do you pass? And what you do? And you have to be able to make that decision early. And you have to know now that what I'm going to do is slow down and not get too close to the vehicle. You have to make that decision today before it's going to happen to you today.
Yeah, you're just banking on luck there. And here we talk about changing the image of the industry. What I love about this is the end a little bit if you watch it. But you're a driver watching out for pedestrians in one of these rural areas, right? There's a lot of hidden roadways and stuff. They stop, but so does the driver. Courtesy. Great job. And watch. Right? Yeah, right there. It's kind of hard to see. But the pedestrians actually wave and thank the driver. You know, that is how you get that relationship with the people out there that say, hey, not all truckers are bad, right? In fact, a lot of them are good. And here's one case where you can really do a lot of being ambassadors out there for your industry. Great job by this driver. Again, intersections are dangerous. Be prepared to stop. I think the light is yellow by now. Driver slows, stops, and then another one runs the red light. Man, we're just seeing this too often. Again, help your industry. And the only way, Drive Safe Dave says it, if you don't slow down, when you slow down, you also shorten that point of, as they say, commitment or no return. If you're preparing to stop, that almost goes away because you're preparing to stop anyway. And again, if you don't, things like this can happen. Somebody can lose their life. We've seen the videos. It is unbelievable that we just got to prepare to stop.
Yeah, and these straight rail trucks, they scare me to death because most of the individuals driving these aren't really a Class A driver. Most
Correct.
of them are just a C driver, and they're not really experienced. in what they're doing. They've been placed, and they're not really understanding that vehicle that they're in, that's a 14,000-pound vehicle flying by, and that 3 times what a vehicle weighs out there on the road. So it scares me to death because of the lack of experience and not understanding how dangerous these vehicles can truly be out there on the road.
Yeah, and you bring up a great point, and that we talk all the time about how you can affect traffic around you. And this driver did. Everybody in his lane was going to have to stop, right? Because he was slowing down and stop. And what you get is when we're out there, you see a four-wheeler driving 65, and nobody, you forget, even, I don't care how good you are, you may know it because you'll use it in other things, but you'll forget that, hey, I can't stop as quick. Even though you know it in the back of your mind, you're only thinking about keeping up with traffic speed or the other traffic. The split sleeper, the pause your 14-hour rule, and some of the things that go, some of the key factors where you've got to really be thinking about this. You know, obviously when you're driving down the highway, you may not be thinking about that. But where these really come into play and give you the options to use this, these new rules in your favor is at the customer. We went over yesterday about the long break, right? It has to be 7 hours. Well, when you're at the customer, one of the things we see, and I think Drive Safe Dave alluded to it yesterday a little bit too, was get off duty as soon as you can. Check in. Once you're back to that dock, just go off duty right away, because not only does it help your 70, but the sooner you can get off duty, the sooner you start that short little break. And again, realizing that, understanding that the first minimum is 2 hours. So if you get close, sit there a little bit longer. But this is all going to happen at the customer, right? And again, it does help your 70. I've seen many drivers that, believe it or not, come up short at the end of the week getting home because of their 70. And then when they call, well, there's nothing we can do, but we go back and we can educate. And we look at their clock, and I'll say, you know what? You left 5 hours this week on the table. And they go, what? And we'll go over each day and say, hey, here's was an hour and a half at the customer. Were you required to be on the dock? No. Then why are you on duty? Because that would have allowed you to get home. So you've got to manage your clock, right? It's about planning. Just like you plan a trip, manage that clock. Get off duty as soon as you legally can. If you're not required to count parts on the dock and you're sitting in the truck waiting to be loaded or unloaded, get off duty right away. And then you just got to understand that. But it seems so many drivers are leaving too much on duty during the week. Drive safe.
Yeah, and we talk about it, and I always talk about it. Whenever you have an opportunity, get into the habit of reaching over and getting off duty, and conserve the one thing that you have valuable to you in that truck, and that's your hours of service.